Okay, it's called Cyrus Says. We have a very eminent and youngish guest who will come on in about 5 seconds. But before that, I want to rant, and I hope he joins me in it. Please don't WhatsApp how bad the second surge is and how we should stay at home and how everyone's going to die and how we've all been bad people. We're not bad people. The way I see it, government doesn't know what to do. So they point fingers at you and say, wear your mask, and it's your fault. It's not your fault. It's a huge freaking pandemic. It goes through everything. There's no, so everything is porous. Let's use a Persian word. And I just think that you have to stop the negativity and the anxiety and the paranoia. Just stop it. Get on with life. Do what you can. Fortify yourself and hope to God you survive. I recommend bench press, deadlifts, and squats on alternate days, and some stuff in between. This is what I recommend, but free to ignore me. But don't ignore my guest, the one and only Brian Tellis. After a long time, actually, I'm getting to speak to him. This is a man, a legend in the voice business. I think I don't want to age him, but we're looking at pre-independence when he started. But definitely when I started in '93, if I get my maths right, he was already there, very prominent voice. And he was a guy they would tell you, you got to sound like Brian Tellis, otherwise you sound like a woman, which is not a bad thing in this Me Too generation. Please sound like a woman. But at that point, he had that timbre and he had that sonorous voice, and he also had the music knowledge. We'll come to all that. But this is the man who is like the pioneer in our business. And lots of us grew up with this voice in radio, which was the only stream we had at that point. And of course, then he continues. His achievements include Sex Every Weekend, also lots of radio. He conquered that world. Then he moved into event marketing, again a pioneer, one of the first few. Then many years later, he sold it for millions of dollars and bought the country of Bhutan. Then he moved on to theater, which was always there, but now he can spend more time because he reached that point in his life where self-actualization, which actually means you have so much friggin' money. What do you do? Like an investment banker. And before that, he had a normal job, which I didn't know about. So I want to go all the way back to the beginning. Brian, by the way, I've done all the talking and half the show's over. Is that good?
So I will just interject. I'll say yes, no, because Cyrus, firstly, what an introduction, man. What an introduction.
Too much.
I love you even more. I only wish you wore a skirt,
You're my Catholic cousin, man. What the hell are you talking about?
That
protect
is true.
each other. We're a small group here.
You got half Catholic genes, right? Half Makapau genes.
Yeah, and see, I'm a big fan of nepotism, whatever people say. As if for my side, Parsis and Christians, what are we, 7.5 people of India? If I don't support them, who will? So for me, it's not nepotism.
No.
If I have to choose between people.
Cyrus, it's about 12 and a half. Your information is dated.
You just don't like Farhad Wadia, and you always add him as two because he's a huge man. Oh, apparently he's lost weight.
He has?
Okay, the jokes apart, yeah, he has, but he's way back in America where they don't feed him. Let's go to the beginning, and because this is also for me. See, I know all about your successes and the things that everybody knows about you, which we will talk about. But you had like a regular job. Can you go back in time? You were GSA of Pan American Airlines and then Air France, Air Canada. What's all this?
Yeah. I mean, I was a bit of a rock and roller from the early days, and I did my graduation in commerce because science was for nerds and arts was for the ladies. And so it left a very intelligent.
That's so rude. Just because it's correct, you don't have to say it. Like people don't say your kid is ugly, just because it's correct. You don't say that. But you're right.
So if you do commerce, if you do commerce, you got to get a job in accounts and finance, and even
or your pop had a business.
No such like. Well, he had a business, but it was illegal and not paying. So I joined.
Stop. What is illegal? What is it?
We'll take that offline.
Alcohol?
We'll take that offline, Cyrus.
Will he get raided? Would you get raided? No.
Most certainly. Yeah, so I mean, I actually started on a princely salary of 300 per month with a pharmaceutical company actually.
Well, the salaries have come back to that, by the way.
And the second year they doubled. Just in case you think I'm not good at what I do, they doubled my salary to 600 rupees.
Can we know the name of the pharma?
Yeah, eMerck back.
Oh, that's a huge company. Yeah,
it is. So yeah, that was it. And then of course, I got contacted. I mean, I love travel. All of us do. And so Firoza Godrej and Cyrus Shroff were running the GSA for Pan American, and then I joined them. And we used to work out of the Oberoi Hotel, and down the corridor was Air Canada. And so there was and so over a conversation in the washroom, and we won't discuss that further. With the finance.
The great moments in human history have happened in the union.
We won't discuss that further, Cyrus. I got propositioned with a job in Air Canada. So that was it. Air Canada into Air France, and took me up to around 93, December of 93, by which time, as you mentioned earlier, Radiohead
Radio.
had kicked in. Yeah.
And you were
So
the
yeah,
you
that
were the
was,
you were the
sorry.
Times, the face is the wrong word. The mouth, the voice of Times now. Of Times Radio. I can't remember the
Yeah, it
name.
was Times FM at that time.
You guys had the most hours, if I remember, right?
Yeah, there was one in the morning that I used to host between 9 and 10. And then there were, I think, a couple of hours in the afternoon /
Afternoon.
evening. Yeah, I think there were a couple
So
of other players.
But again, I think culturally, our people, our tribes, do grow up with a lot of radio and music in the background. Not to say others don't, but when we started in '93 with privatized radio, and you were like the founding father, so to speak, what did you think? Because
It was very exciting actually, because like the rest of us, we grew up on the Casey Kasems of this world. Music was not easy to come by. So when you traveled, you came back with cassettes, which were invaluable, and then later you came back with CDs, which were even more invaluable, and things like that. So friends of mine would record radio shows of the likes of Casey Kasem, and when they announced FM in India, the people who were scouting for talent were looking at two things: people who'd speak endlessly like you and me, and people who probably knew a bit of music. And I'd like to believe I kind of qualified there.
and Mishal Verma,
And Mishal Verma, yeah, he
who's
used to do the
just a
slot.
good-looking guy
Yeah,
for radio. Yeah,
I'm still in touch with him. He bases himself out of Singapore. Yeah, he was
he still
was
sounds
great.
like a voiceover artist. If you talk to him, he's like, "Oh, because no one's paying him. Just
Yeah,
doing it.
and why not? And
Why
why not?
not?
And why not? Yeah.
Hey, let's segue for a second. You're famous for the nasal twang, which a lot of people have copied, let me tell you, and not only in the English language. Is that a learned thing, or is that the way Brian is? What's that all about?
No,
The deep
it's just
voice with
me.
the
I've
nasal-
got this. It's just me. I've got this nose. I don't know if you can see the profile, and
Hmm.
it plays a large part in who I am, including my voice. So I can't do shit about it. So that's who I am.
So even during, let's say, orgasm, do we have a nasal sound, or how does it go?
Yeah. It's a nasal sound. It's a nasal sound. I don't betray myself. What you see and hear is what you get. So
What an awkward question, an awful question for any anchor to ask. I apologize completely. Should never happen again.
you
So
sound so apologetic, Cyrus. Honestly, you endear yourself to me. And
I,
today you're irresistible, brother. I mean, you're irresistible. With clothes on, you are disgustingly attractive, and without clothes, my goodness, man.
I'm just facing the COVID situation head on with nothing. I just got a headphones and that's it. I'm taking it on. But it's
Is
very
there
romantic.
something? Yeah, sorry.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Go.
I was
No,
wondering if there
just-
was anything attached to the head-on phrase that you said, but
Ouch. Our
we won't
podcast
get.
ends. We don't go gardan ke niche, whatever happens for many reasons. No, I'm just saying it's very romantic phase. I'm thinking back to '93 when it happened. And like I said, we grew up with, the BBC radio, this and that we would play, we would catch all kinds of stations, Binaka Hit Parade and this and that. So we had
Radio Ceylon.
Radio
Man.
Ceylon. What a lovely word. Ceylon is, I wish, with due respect, we kept that name. Radio Ceylon was huge. And I'm just thinking, suddenly for us, that generation, radio would play such a big role to suddenly be the architect of radio. That happened in 24 hours, someone like you
Yeah.
as well. So wasn't that like just a lovely time for you? You suddenly got this mic and you're talking to people and people are telling you, hey, Brian, I heard your show. Take us through all that.
Yeah, it was pretty intimidating when I first got approached. I mean, I was intimidated, to say the least. And then, like, that wasn't intimidating enough. They got me involved. If you remember, it was a single radio station, 107.1, a single frequency.
Correct.
And
We shared it.
all the various people
Hum sab ek
shared.
hai. Yeah.
That's right. So there were, you went and you pitched for certain hours and stuff, and they involved me in that process. Of course, I was sitting in the second row of seats, so to speak, not the first row, but it was crazy. It was very, very exciting. And, we slowly kind of got over that, feeling of being intimidated and came to grips with it. We spent a lot of time in All India Radio talking to, the station heads, and I got some fun stories, about
Tell us
All
one.
India
Tell us
Radio.
one. Tell us one.
Okay, I'll tell you one. There was so I used to do this classics, play classics in the morning. And so I used to carry my own CDs. And invariably I'd carry a few greatest hits, so you're not carrying too many CDs, physical CDs. And they had these two, if I remember right, they were Studers, those CD players. And you queued your song. So let's say I queued a Rod Stewart song, and I kept it on pause, and then there are faders in front of you, your microphone faders as also your CD fader. So what do you go ahead and say, oh, okay, now we're gonna, I hope you're sitting back and enjoying your breakfast, because here's some incredible Rod Stewart for you, and you hit the fader and it's an auto start. Now, one of those CD players was as badly misbehaved as you are. And
and as old
and as old, yeah. And I queued track number 7, which was Rod Stewart, and track number 9 played, which was Elton John. And here I was with this grand, introduction to Rod Stewart, and then I'd come back and say, sorry, Rod's kind of still having his breakfast, and Elton jumped into the fray, and take this one. It's called Yellow Brick Road or whatever the hell. So anyway, after the show, I went, and it happened twice or thrice. And Michal and all would always, call me and tell me what a loser I am, because I was apologizing 3 and 4 times, in 1 hour.
By the way, you played the wrong singer.
Hey, dude, what's going down with your show, brother? You're off the mark. You're off the mark. So I went to the radio.
That's in sports. There's a sledge, huh? Unnecessary. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great fun. So I went to the station head, and I told him, I said, studio in studio A or whatever, your CD player is like freaking out, man. It's doing its own thing. So he said, and it was time for the news from Delhi, so we could go into the studio and check out the equipment. After my show, there was the news directly from Delhi. So I took him into the studio, and I kind of stuck. I said, he said, which CD player? I said, that CD player. So he said, tell me what you did. So I ejected the tray and I put a CD in. So he stopped. He's saying, stop. I know what the problem is. So I'm going, man, this guy's Einstein's daddy, man. I haven't even pushed the tray back. So I said, and what is the problem? He says, man, you got to turn the CD. So he has turned the CD so that the print on the CD, the written print faces you. He says the print and the names of the songs must face you when you close the tray. Then it won't happen. Cyrus, this is the truth. This is the truth.
This podcast needs a tutorial now, because all the listeners who are under 25 have to first figure out what technology you're talking about. Then you talk about facing which way, which is not an option on the online world. So, wow. But was that correct, or was he just bullshitting?
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It was ridiculous. I gave up. I said, oh, right, man. Thank you so much. What do you say to someone like that? I mean, he was a nice enough guy. Bejal. I even remember his name. He was Bejal.
Shout out to Bejal.
Really nice guy.
I had a similar, we had the 7:00 slot. So we had a couple of similar stories, again, to do with not management, but the real people who run it, the tunes. So we were delayed at least 2 or 3 occasions because they hadn't arrived to open the main door. So we're standing out at 5 to 7 palpitating all on time. And these guys walk in at 7:05 saying, okay, abhi start karta hai. The very phlegmatic people, lovely. I wish I had a job like that. They never seem stressed. Did you notice that?
Yeah, no. And they'd come in, the ladies would announce, 107.1 megahertz pe aap sun rahe, that lady.
Oh God,
they'd do the introduction before the show, and they'd come with these large handbags and 30 bangles on each arm. And we'd play all the ads on a spool on your left. The CD players were on your right and the spools were on your left. And we'd carry the ads, on spools and play it. She has placed her large bag over the spools while the CD player is on, or while the spool player is on. I mean, can you imagine?
But no malice. I kid you not. It's done just the way it is.
No malice. It's like no malice. It's pure ignorance. No malice. Pure ignorance.
The finest form of comedy. When people just do things, it's a professional. And you're the first professional setup for radio that we have, in a sense.
Yeah.
A free radio, if you want to put it that way. Oh, wow. I hope you've written all these stories down. One day it'll make a hell of a...
Oh, man, I should actually write it down.
Yeah. We have to jump because you've got a time problem. Now, so that's radio, voiceovers, all that came with it. When did events start? Because once again, you guys were the first off the block. So how do you
events, so Cyrus, as you're aware, all of us would anchor shows, and so we were involved with live events, but as maybe MCs or anchors or whatever else you want to call it. It was in early middle 93 when we started talking about it, because I was an airline person, and we do a lot of entertainment, a lot of events for our airlines, and that really kind of seeded the thought. And like I said, I used to anchor a lot of shows. So one saw live events happening and saw a bit of opportunity there. So we discussed it in middle 93. like you rightly said, August 93, 15th of August, radio
Correct.
launched. And so there was a little bit of a, financial kind of, there was 10 rupees more in the pocket thanks to radio. So, we figured that we must give it a shot. And so I jumped my job in December of 93, the airline job, and actually went on to, along with Neil and Otis, kick off Fountainhead. And uh, we figured that it would work, but if it didn't, hey, we'd go back to a 9 to 5. Yeah, what's so bad? And we thought we'd give it a shot because we enjoyed the live space immensely. And so we stuck with the live space, like I said, and things didn't turn out too bad. It was a struggle. There were times when we'd sit by our telephone, which was an extension of the family's phone downstairs, and wait for the phone to ring for a client to call. But invariably, it took a fair while before that happened. But as we went along, things got better, and I don't believe it was as traumatic as some people think it might have been.
Hi, Mr. Brian. I think Cyrus got disconnected for some reason. I'll just
Okay.
come on. I think he's just trying to rejoin.
Yeah, no sweat.
In the meantime, there are some AMA questions which are coming to us from the live chat. Firstly, guys, whoever's on the live chat, please do like the stream, which helps with the discovery of the video in the algorithm. And I will start with the AMAs for Mr. Brian in the meantime, while Cyrus rejoins. Okay, sure. This one comes in from Sayani Bakchi. Okay, I think she works with you, sir, because she's saying
Yeah.
Brian has been one of my biggest mentors, and even after 10 years of working with him, I can't thank him enough for just how he makes people feel. That's so nice. Thank you
Hey,
so much.
Sayani,
Thanks
that's
so much,
kind of you,
Sayani.
man. That's kind of you.
Okay, nice. All right, next
Good
one.
in the event of.
Hello, hi Cyrus, can you hear us? Hello.
I don't think you have him.
Okay, this one comes in from Karan Sethi. He asks, what is something that one doesn't know about being a voiceover actor or artist?
Sorry, say that again. I lost that. What does?
You mean
No problem. Hi, Cyrus, can you hear us? There is some problem with the internet now, suddenly, I think, Cyrus. Hello.
This is an age-old problem with Cyrus. He's always disconnected.
So this doesn't usually happen, but
I'm kidding.
I don't know. Okay, no. Okay, in the meantime, if I can just ask you one more question, sir.
Sure.
Girish Patil has asked, sorry, Karan Sethi has asked, what is something that one doesn't know about being a voiceover actor or artist?
Interesting question. What is something that one doesn't know? Yeah, I think, being a voiceover is not really about sounding what is prescribed, what you think is prescribed. I think a voiceover, really, you need to get into the shoes of the product. If you're doing if you're doing an ad, you need to really soak yourself into what the product is and what the communication is like. Sometimes we tend to make the mistake of trying to be Brian Tellis. You've got to drop that. Yes, of course, there are certain parameters which need to guide your voice and your conviction in the voice. But I think, like in theater, you have to immerse yourself in the character. You have to really play the character. And yes, obviously it's your voice, but you need to actually emotionally and, of course, literally sound like the character. So it takes for a bit of character immersion. It takes for a bit of understanding of what character you're playing. That's as far as theater and film is concerned. And as far as, ads and jingles are concerned, you need to really understand what the objectivity is behind the advertising and get into the product and what you're communicating. So, I know I'm making it sound like rocket science, but once you kind of get into it, it tends to become a natural thing to do.
Okay. All right. Next one comes in from Saurabh Upadhyay. He says, hi guys, good morning. Huge fan of Cyrus and Brian. He's asking you to do a podcast. And so he's saying it's a session. Please do a podcast, Brian. And he says, Brian, who do you listen to most? Your favorites. So I think he's talking about music. So who's your favorite musicians that you listen to right now?
Okay, so on the first question about getting into podcasts, I'm going to get into that soon enough. I do something called Tell Us Like It Is, but which is an audio visual product. But I'm going to get into podcasts, I'm hoping sooner than later. My favorite music, man, I don't know if I want to point out any one band, but I'm immersed in a couple of genres. I'm immersed in rock and roll. So classic rock is really where my soul is. And of course, over the last 20 years or so, I've started to kind of immerse myself in the blues and blues rock and southern blues. So if you were to look at genres, so firstly, by way of language, my comfort zone is English, English music, and within that, like I said, the couple of genres are rock and roll, and a fair sense of blues.
Is there an artist who you're listening to currently, or you heard recently?
Yeah, I mean, I've been going back and listening to a lot of the older classic albums. So I recently, and I know I'm going to sound cliched, but I just can't get enough of Dark Side of the Moon. I can't get enough of Alan Parsons Project. I can't get enough of the Allman Brothers. I tend to like the Southern rock sound. So I like the Allman Brothers both as a band and of course, Greg Allman. As far as the rock is concerned, I'm going to sound a bit cliched, but I'm an old Hendrix fan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to a lot of Zappa growing up, Frank Zappa. So yes. I love that feel. And I'm a soft rock kind of lover as well. So I like bands like America, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Simon and Garfunkel, the softer harmonic sounds. So that's the kind of music. I mean, but I don't have any favorite band. We're joined with the biggest. We're joined now by Shri Cyrus Brocha.
Hi, Cyrus. Can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can't hear me. Hello?
We can hear you. We can. Oh, he can't hear us, maybe.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us, Cyrus?
I apologize because the irony is, can you hear me, guys?
Yep. Yes, we can.
No problem, Cyrus. Apologies to the people joining us on the live stream. Internet connections can't be helped. Okay, I'll get to.
Hello.
Fine, Cyrus.
Hello.
Okay. Hi, Cyrus.
Hello.
Cyrus, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Hello, Cyrus, can you hear us? Cyrus, now we can't hear you either.
Hello.
Hi, Cyrus, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Thank God. I'm just saying the irony of this whole show is that we're discussing AIR and their rustic equipment and how bad they were. And then I give a performance of a lifetime of being here in this beautiful setting. Sorry, electricity in some phase went. No. And then we panicked after that, tried to figure it out. Brian, where were we? I know the time constraint being what it was. Let's get back to, you were just explaining about doing anchoring and stuff like that and getting into the whole business.
Yeah, so it was, like I said, late 93, Cyrus, when given, the background of anchoring and given the background of being airline people and doing a lot of events for the airline trade, we figured that there was a great scope in doing live events. And so we started off, the three of us started Fountainhead. And initially there was this bit of waiting by the phone, waiting for the damn phone to ring for a client to call. All of that happened, but it wasn't as bad as sometimes people think it would have been. And
what did you start with? Weddings and stuff, the smaller gigs like that?
No, we didn't ever do weddings. We started off, Cyrus, we were airline people or aviation people, and so we had a few contacts in the airline business, obviously. And so we used that, and so we did a fair few airline gigs. I remember one of the gigs we did, because of the gig and I had to be at the gig and anchor it, I missed the the first Michael Jackson show in Mumbai.
Oh,
Yeah,
where he stopped to pee. Where he stopped to pee. I won't tell you where. Right. And we were covering that. That was my first year at MTV. Yeah, I
Is
remember.
it?
So you
Yeah,
missed
yeah.
it because
I
you
missed the
it.
gig because I was at we were doing a gig at the Taj. I remember, in the Crystal in the ballroom, and yeah, I missed the gig, man. I missed the gig. Yeah, it's one of those
Hey,
sorry things that
Brian,
happen.
whose fault is that? Because it's your event, plus you're the compare. So, I mean, you're in charge of the timings.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining.
I'm not a big Michael. I'm not a big
I would have
Michael
loved to
Jackson
have.
fan.
No, not it would have been nice to kind of soak in the vibe.
Yeah. For us, for our generation, I think there weren't many before that, and it was one of the first big concerts, biggest name in the world. So it was something, no doubt. The whole of Mumbai had come to that. Where was it, Bandra? Huge crowd. You couldn't get in, you couldn't get out. It was awful, actually, in many ways. My God. And then at the end of the game, for me, it wasn't Elvis, it was Michael Jackson. So I was like, what the hell am I doing here? Get that story. So then events, and of course, the events galloped along, and you guys made a lot of friends along the way. We met because of some events. I was a young guy then. I'm still a young guy. I went up to you and said, Mr. Tellis, I may have said Mr. Tellis, we share the same, my mother's surname is the same as yours. And I was hoping that there'd be some bonding. And you told me, can you please get me a soda? I remember that. You just sent me off.
Did I?
No, I'm kidding. I can't remember.
You are responsible for my strong prayer life. Because every time we did a gig together, I spent the previous 3 days just praying that everything would go according to plan. I'll never forget that we did a gig for the Mahindras, and I think there was Anand Mahindra and Keshub Mahindra who were at the gig. They were launching, I forget what it was. It was a pretty tight affair, and you cracked a really bad, typical Cyrus Brocha joke about Keshub Mahindra going for a drive in this new car with his driver.
Kunal did that. Yeah. I remember the gag.
I know it was a gag. I'll never forget the look on Keshub Mahindra's face when you complete. And there was a look on my face as well. I saw the check flying out of the window. I'm going, oh, Cyrus has done it again.
Well, there's Mahindra and Mahindra. You just have to go with the other guy. No, but for me, the fun part was in those days, we would all drink after the event, which, as the years went on, that seemed to, with a new age entrepreneur who just rushed off to his next event, that little funny bonding thing never happened. But exactly this, what went wrong, and we drink and laugh, and
there was so much to chat about. Yeah. What went wrong was, hours of conversation.
Yeah. And you can't just blame me because everything sometimes would go wrong. It was so much fun, actually, when you look back. Yeah, including mics. You do a mic test. Oh, Brian, make us do mic test 15 times. And then when the damn show starts, the guys don't put it on. So you come and say, no, exactly like this podcast in the middle where I dropped out. And it's happened to me so many times. I want to write a book. I'm like, these technical guys, they come there, make a big deal out of everything. Oh, it was so much fun, really.
So we should write a book on all the, on all the gaffes. There'll be a couple of books needed.
And my favorite thing to do with you guys was sit down and look at the room and see which girl is checking us out. Because as you get drunk, your ego starts thinking that they are checking us out, and it's so much fun. I have good memories. And the daru was free, brother. The daru was free.
Yeah. That's a big one. That's a big one.
After insulting Keshav Mahindra, not intention, no intent to do that, but drank his as well. Okay, let's move on. So that was a super successful career. Then you guys, but you still, even though you sold Fountainhead, you still run Fountainhead.
Well, yes, but Fountainhead has operations have been shut now, Cyrus. Dentsu have made a decision. It's a global decision that they've made where they're kind of realigning their businesses and stuff. And in India, they've decided to kind of shut a few businesses down, given what's happening to us over the last 12 to 14 months. And one of the unfortunate decisions is operations of Fountainhead have been shut. So, yeah.
I can have that reverse, not a problem. I know a few people in the right places. Don't worry about it. Although I think you've worked enough, you should never work again. You should just relax now. So let's come to the third avatar, which is the theater, which in the last few years is, again, that's your thing now. So
yeah, it is. It started off being my thing. I mean, as you know, Cyrus, I mean, I'm talking about the early days, theater was something, it all started with this system we have in Bandra, called the zonals. I'm sure you're aware of it, where, you get together and there are various competitions that you can participate in at various age groups or
And
in
the
various
singing is
ages.
always great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Even the instrumentalists are good, and
All the way.
there are chorals, there is dramatics, there is now elocution and a whole host of stuff. So that kind of you didn't have an option. You went onto that stage and made a fool of yourself, or you came away winning a few prizes. But what it did was it kind of you mainlined yourself with the performing arts. So that was brilliant. And then that's where the theater bug really, or the theater needle really got stuck in. And then I think it was back, I'm going to give away, the fact that I'm 93 years old. It was in 79 that we did Joseph and His Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which was one of the early musicals we did. And took it to, which was then a big thing, took it to the Mumbai stage, as they called it. Sapphires, I think, was the prescribed Mumbai stage back then.
Yeah, the big one.
Yeah, the big one. If you performed at Sapphire.
Now you can't park a car. Those are lovely days. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was great fun. We'd kind of spend a lot of time there, partly because of theater and partly because of the girls' hostel, but we won't go there. So that
my
was
mother and daughter are both from that hostel. You show some respect because you're somewhere between them.
Don't tell me your problems.
That sounds horrible, Brian. That's the worst sentence ever said on a podcast.
Don't tell me your problems. I got enough of my own. So that was Joseph and His Amazing. And then we went on, it was, I think, early middle 80s when we did Grease Lightning, where, I did the narrator and Shamak and Sunita played Sandy and Danny. That was 85, I think. And there were big concerts. 8 Bhopal happened at that time. The big concert to raise funds for Bhopal, the gas tragedy. Then we did in 86, Alec, after seeing Grease, actually asked me to audition for Perron, and so Evita happened. And
you played?
I played Perron. I replaced Keith Stevenson, and
What's
in
the
Evita.
song?
No, there are various songs. I mean,
The devil one.
Yeah, Dalip was replaced by Rags.
Yeah,
and there was.
That's my favorite song from Evita. On this night of 1,000 stars.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah,
so Evita came along, 86 or thereabouts, and then of course, work took over, and while theater happened, it was not the main focus. But more recently, over the last 5 years or thereabouts, thanks to Disney, Beauty and the Beast happened. And there's a fun story there about how I got involved, but that's
quick. Tell us. We still have time.
No,
I know you're cut off. Tell us.
No. So I got called in actually by Disney, and I thought they'd called us in for an activation job or an events job. And I asked, my buddy Vikrant, I didn't know him well at that time, Vikrant Pawar. I said, should I bring in, what colleague should I bring in an activations? He says, no, you come along. I went there. I didn't even realize they'd actually called me in to ask if I would audition. I thought they were calling me in because of the agency work. And that's how I auditioned. Of course, then that role happened in Beauty and the Beast.
You're the same, right?
Yeah. I played a character with Bugs, actually. Bugs and me. Lumiere I played, and Cogsworth, he played the clock and the candelabra. So it was great fun, actually. It kind of re-injected.
After 40 years in the business, he plays a clock and a candelabra. Wow.
Yeah.
That's life. Yeah.
This was it. And then more recently, we did a ground-up original Sing India Sing, which Rahul and Bugs wrote, and Clinton did the music. So the needle is still in, my friend. The theater and musical needle.
Here's the worst question to ask anyone. So what is Brian Tellis then? Is he the radio guy that we all go up to, or is he this event guy, natty businessman who, pushed the event industry forward? Or is he the actor, the lost artist, the singer?
It's a good question, but I've never thought of it. I've just been the kind of person who goes with the flow. There's been no master plan, and I'm being brutally honest. I don't want to pretend to be anyone I'm not. There's been no master plan. I've just gone with the flow. I've just followed my passion. I've just done the thing. Even now, I'm no more connected, with operational events and stuff like that. So I'm following my heart. I'm, probably going to be podcasting a bit, like I mentioned earlier, and creating
Which
stuff.
is anyway an extension of radio. So it's like honestly.
No,
It's
so right.
just
So
you
then
in the
you,
2021.
yeah. And I'm going to do a bit of, if people wanted a bit of consultancy, a bit of hanging out with the right people and doing the
I'm doing
things.
the same thing for marriage, Brian.
You
People who
are?
have struggling
See,
marriages,
we
they
can
come to
work
me.
together. We can work closely together. You break up the marriages, I will bring them back together.
Absolutely.
Let's
Yeah.
work in tandem.
You be the clock and I'll be the candle, bro.
Correct.
We'll work Simon and
I'm
Garfunkel.
telling you, we'll work out a business plan. And looking at you like this, man, my marriage is close to breaking up, dude.
Let me
You're
tell you one
sexy
thing.
enough with clothes on.
This may be a bit of a cliche, but it's true that strangers make the best friends. So here's my point. If we start this, people who don't know us come to us, will help them for sure. I just can't help people I know because then, I just feel like doing mischief. I don't know if you think the same thing. It's a bit of a problem. Speaking of which, who's the biggest drinker in the group? These are the questions people want to know.
Who's the biggest drinker in the group?
Yeah, in the Fountainhead group, in those years of glory that we spoke about when we were kings.
We shared the honors, man. We shared the honors.
You want to take a
it,
name?
it, was-
What a
it was
touchy
a,
guy. Everything else you're open about. This is
it was
stupid.
it was a democratic setup, Cyrus. So we shared the honors. But I don't know if you're aware, I've become the most boring old man now. I'm off the juice. Yeah.
So am I. So hence we
good.
start the marriage counseling thing. Was the first thing we tell the guy, stop drinking. He'll say, "If I stop drinking, I'll leave her." But c'est la vie. Okay, Brian, because we need to get the questions in, and I've screwed up with this stupid technology issue. Apologize to everybody.
Again, Cyrus. Again.
Yeah, it's just on my thing. I'm Sabyasachi gone wrong, as you can see. So we'll call in our producer friend Silvery, who's from another generation, but is following in your footsteps in a sense, because you probably could have gone into stand-up comedy and all if it was there when you started, but you chose, to go wherever you did. But he's somewhere in the family. He's a young comedian who's also a producer to earn some money. And although he looks like someone running a separatist sort of army, but we won't go there. Sir?
Yes, sir. Hi. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Cyrus. Let's get to some more AMA questions. We've already covered a couple earlier. This one comes in from, so there are two similar questions, one from Karan Sethi and one from Girish Patil. So I'm just going to read them together. Karan Sethi asks, what are Brian's thoughts on Man Ki Baat, and how has radio impacted politics? Also, how has politics impacted radio? And what Girish Patel asked is, is radio in India free of political influence? Yes, please.
Yeah, they are intertwined. But before you answer that, now when I think of it, it's a fair question to ask you. It was a naughty question, but it's a fair question because you're also judging as someone who, someone's in the field, whether they're a big name or not.
Cyrus, you're aware of this on radio, at least on.
I'm just waiting for your answer.
No, they don't allow you to be political. They don't allow news. You know that.
No, they don't.
On FM.
They
don't. So your opinion, you need to keep to yourself. So personally,
but Man Ki Baat, what do you think? Have you heard it?
No, I haven't.
Why not?
Just I'll listen to it now that you're egging me on.
We are the minorities. Wait, what are you talking about?
No, I haven't. I know I'm sounding blasphemous, but I haven't.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the appeal is not for us. It's not for urban India. It's more for everyone. At least that's the attempt, I presume. But I just wish our politicians, although he's a good orator and all that, would just get a little funnier. I feel if you're not funny from time to time, it's like Kunal Vijayakar talking. It just bores me. It just goes on. So I wouldn't presume to tell people what to do, but I'm just saying if they could just interlace more humor.
No. Here's the honest truth. I have listened not to the entire thing, but I've listened to a couple of them. I love radio for the fact that it is a one-on-one medium. Okay, my big pull to radio is that I can speak to and with Cyrus Brocha, albeit one-sided conversation. It's interpersonal. It's personal. If I'm going, how are you guys doing out there? That's not radio. Radio is a one-on-one medium, and I find that. So that's basic principle being violated. Obviously, he's
the intimacy you're saying. No.
Yeah, radio.
Silvery's a little serious here. You're talking about the intimacy that you would have as a broadcaster or as a RJ, or whatever the word you want to use. It's a one-on-one, and that's why radio lovers are actually far more fanatical than anybody else.
Absolutely right. Really, that's the medium of radio. The medium of radio, it's not my take. The medium of radio is a one-on-one. It's not meant to be a me talking to the masses or whoever.
It's a glorious point. I'm not going to say yes or no, but it's a glorious point. So your thing is that it's actually wrong to do a Mark Anthony speech there.
Absolutely
You're not
wrong.
raising the rabble
Absolutely
and oh wow.
I can talk to 100,000 people or whatever that number is, but I speak to each one of the 100,000 people, if you know where I'm coming from.
Separate. I'm already saying. So that's you're right.
So it's a personal conversation.
Even as an artist, it's therapeutic for you because you do that. You have a conversation which makes a little sense. You're not just screaming and shouting about, come on, guys, let's rock, let's have a good time, which is what I used to do for 25 years. Oh,
just 25. Whom are you kidding? 25?
Okay, nice. Okay, Silvery, next.
Okay. Next one comes in from Harvesh Kasar. He says, hey, Cyrus, Antariksh and Brian. Watching the match yesterday, it looked as if India was experimenting yesterday with the captaincy. Your thoughts?
Well, Brian, I don't know if you're a big cricket buff. I know you're a footy buff.
I am.
But just want to quickly say the guy goes off for a little while. This happens, they're playing sequence cricket. You might want to do potty, you might want to pee. I mean, these things happen from time to time. So, and Rohit Sharma took over and then whatever. I think it's an unnecessarily being mean sort of point. But in India, it's all about sarcasm the moment things aren't going our way, isn't it?
Right? Yeah, it is. I tend to agree with you, Cyrus. I mean, I don't think it was kind of orchestrated. I don't think Rohit Sharma needs to be done a favor. He's a fantastic captain. He's proved it over and over again with the Mumbai Indians, if nowhere else. So he doesn't need a gimmicky thing like
20
this.
minutes of exposure, yeah,
exactly. Exactly. I think he's way beyond that. But
but I don't mind the match. Sorry,
I love the match.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Brian.
I said I loved the match, though. I liked that it went into
good game of cricket. Yeah, nobody ever. This jingoism crap, of course, when it comes to the football, Silvery is also more footy guy. It goes out of control, I think, sometimes. My son starts crying when Liverpool's had a bad run and all that. So I understand that part of it. But what happened to the old-fashioned sports lover who enjoys sport? And the result affects you, but you enjoy the sport.
I'm a sports junkie as well. And I've got a big take on that, man. So I'll just give you the Formula One case, or you can take the soccer case. If you're watching a Barca play, it's all about whether you love Messi or don't love Messi, and whether you're going to chastise him or whether you're going to kind of put him up on a pedestal. That sucks, man. Or take Formula One. I followed Michael Schumacher forever, right? And I stopped watching Formula One with other people because it was all about either you were a Schumacher fan or you were like vociferously anti-Schumacher. And you stop to enjoy the race. You stop to enjoy the sport. You stop to enjoy the soccer match.
But Brian, in his point, there's another thing there. Because of his dominance, you want to shout for the little guy. So it's like when you got a guy
which way.
Omnipotent. Yeah.
I'm saying we all have passion points. We are fans of whoever they are. But don't let that kill the joy of the game. You know what I'm saying?
Points.
Yeah. And I find it's happening a lot where I'm so caught up in being a Man U fan that I will never appreciate what Mane is doing for Chelsea or whatever.
Absolutely. You're right. And I'm telling you, this kind of perspective comes with age. Because I'm thinking back, we were probably as bad in our teens and 20s and stuff.
Kind of. Okay, I'm only 90 years old, so it wasn't that bad.
I would also support, say, Liverpool, like my son does, but I won't wear the towel and the cap and the shirt, and get up at 3:45 and watch the game and cry loudly and scream and throw things. So there has to be some, of course, coming back to Man Ki Baat, I hope we don't get the same reactions. I'm just, Silvery, sorry, go on.
All right. Next one comes in from Kashan Shetty. He says, is there one thing from the pre-2000s era of radio which you feel is irreplaceable? Also, do you feel that not enough radio stations today play foreign music?
Well, Brian, take this because, how do you explain demographics? It's a tough one. You've been fighting for English and Western music and all that.
Yeah, I mean, so first I'll answer the question of what was the difference? I don't know how different was 93, which is when radio or FM radio started. Between
the difference was the amateur feel that we had, the stories you told and how my podcast lagged in the middle. That was the fun, because you were going there with your own discs. You were sitting there when you opened doors with machinery which is antique. That was it. Come on.
Those were the joys of, the early radio. But for the listener as well, I think radio was great fun because no more was it only the prescribed hits. I mean, I'd play the classics in the morning. It wasn't, your popular
I am
young
now a
music.
classic.
True. Stop kidding yourself. But yeah, I mean, so that's the one thing. The second question was uh, about English music. I do
Yeah.
believe. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. The second question was also, do you feel that enough radio stations play foreign music nowadays?
Yeah.
Foreign as in
International.
Western. Yeah.
Yeah, international
Yeah.
music. Yes.
I don't believe that the segregation should be foreign or English or Indian. Firstly, I just believe you should cater as a radio station or radio stations. You should cater to the demographic that you're catering to. So it's not about how much Indian music I play or how much international music I play. Like I would like to in my blues play the blues show that I do on Sunday evenings. I'd like to play a lot of Soulmate. I'd like to play a lot of Indian blues artists who are good. So that's not Indian or international. The same thing is what I believe in, in stations that play only Hindi music. I believe that when you say international music, there's Gypsy Kings that play Spanish music. Why are we differentiating music based on the country it comes from? You talk about genres, you talk about a demographic
Brett
or a
Lee sings in
psychographic.
Marathi. So,
There you go.
yeah.
There you go. There you go. So I do believe we need to kind of grow a little bigger than we are at the moment, and confine ourselves to I am Indian and I only listen to Indian or I only listen to American. I think that sucks.
It almost comes to the same sports point we made, whether jingoism overtakes the love of art. And suddenly it's about, I only like this culture. And I'm against that.
Exactly. We need to define the parameters on which we're living, man. I am Indian, but I am a global citizen, for God's sake. And I'm not trying
Absolutely.
to sound all very fairy. I'm living in, yes, I am defined in this Indian geography and I have an Indian passport and all. Yeah, sure. But when you're talking about listening to music, dude, what has me being Indian got to do with anything or listening to Indian music? So I think we need to shed these
Complexes.
these
Why wear the
complexes.
identity? Other people want you to wear some sort of identity. It's a good question because Indianness is very, very.
Be like Cyrus, he doesn't wear anything. Never mind identity.
No, I don't even I come from like mixed communities. I come from mixed classes. I don't have anything. The only thing, I'm not even a man. I don't have any label left. I don't know what to say.
At least you're honest. At least you're honest.
Oh, that I am. I've always been pretty straight up. In fact, that cost me a lot. Yeah. Still very. Okay.
Yeah, should we do
45.
one?
Your call. 46.
We can do one
We
last
do one more?
Yeah, we can do one more question. I've got a 11 o'clock. Sorry.
Quick, Sylvie, talk.
Yeah, one last quick one. This last one comes in from Karan Sethi. He says, what are Brian's thoughts on sports commentary on radio? And has he ever done it? If yes, what were his takeaways? And if not, would he like to do it at some point?
Oh man, Karan, you hit a sweet spot, man. You hit a sweet spot. I'm like
when
I
the
said,
amateur becomes a professional, the lover becomes a producer.
No, I'm a sports junkie. I love sport, and as you have figured, I love talking as well. So I would love to explore being a sports commentator. I don't know what potential lies there, but I would love to be a sports commentator. I can still remember pre-television days when my dad would listen to cricket commentary on the transistor. And the spoken word tells stories, man. I believe commentators need to tell stories. This is radio commentary, and I can remember, Australia was taking the mickey out of England, and there was this English commentator who said something, and I remember the phrase. He said, and the hungry vultures of the Australian bowling attack now, hovering over the dying carcass of the English batting. Australia was whipping England's ass, with their bowlers. I believe commentary is an art form, man. You need to paint pictures. Of course, I'm talking radio commentary, but even television commentary. Sometimes I listen and I become a bit of a cynic because I think they're so stereotyped. I'm not generalizing. There are guys who are really good. But what you need to do is, you don't need to say, here's Kapil Dev coming in right arm over the wicket, bowling to, hey, dude, I can see that.
Yeah,
you need to be telling me stuff about the game. You need to be telling me stuff about where the game is poised at the moment and what difference Cyrus can make, with his batting, or what difference Kunal can make.
Brian, if you listen to AIR now, and I do when I'm driving and a match is on, especially with this T20 culture, everything is 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. and they do this English Hindi mixed feed. I've spoken about it before, but it's beautiful. You're talking about cultural identities and all. They have to speak to each other in their language, and the conversation is bilingual. So imagine you're in Hindi, I'm in English. So it's like, mashhoor awaaz, sir ji, whatever, and the other guy starts talking in English, and you, if you don't understand both languages, you don't know what's going on. It's just fabulous.
But that's cool. That's cool. I mean, I think that's
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 India.
fun. Yeah, exactly. That's India. Well said, man. Well
Yeah,
said.
but I totally get
In
your
the
point
middle,
about which, Sylvie, I don't know ever make fun of other generations or something like a funny shoot that I've become. But the romance of the cricket commentary or any other commentary that we grew up on or which we had right up to 20 years ago was just so fantastic, right, Brian? It just like as you
Absolutely.
described, vultures hovering over the carcass of the poetry and all that comes with that little subculture.
Yeah,
That's gone. That's sort
It's
of gone.
storytelling. The storytelling of the spoken word is something that we've kind of forgotten, man. It's all about how you look, and sometimes we suffer even in that department. But it's all about how you look and whom you're hanging out with, and beyond the point, no one cares, man. And I think that's a change. I'd love to do some. I'd love to do some commentating, on sports. That'll be fun. Yeah. I hope I've answered the question, but even if I don't, I think that's a wonderful area. I, for one, kind of tune in very, how should I say it? Tune in really well into the commentary and into whether it's television or radio. I think we've lost Mr. Brocha again.
yes, I think we have lost Mr. Brocha again. So
I'll
thank you
have
so
to
much,
jump. I'll
Brian.
have to jump ship, my friend.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for being on the
Cheers,
show.
man.
Thank you for agreeing to do this, and very lovely for you to sit
Cheers.
and
It's
ask
been fun.
some
Tell
of these
me,
questions
man.
with us.
Anytime. I'm
Yes,
a
thank you.
sucker for things like this. So let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks again. Thanks again,
Thank
mate.
thank you so much, sir. You can
Okay.
go. No
Bye.
worries.
Bye.
Thank you to all our listeners. I think we'll have to end the live stream here. Cyrus is gone again, sadly. And please follow us. Or please subscribe to our channel. Please like the stream if you haven't. It really helps with the discovery of the video. And please also follow us on the podcasting apps. That is the Spotify's and IBM podcasts and Apple podcasts or what have you. Please rate us and review us on Apple and Google podcasts because that helps a lot. And thank you so much.
Thank you,
Cyrus,
Brian.
you can just
Can you hear me?
Brian is gone. Brian is gone.
Brian's
He
gone.
had to leave. But
Right.
it's good. It was perfect. Like he finished his answer and all.
Okay, great.
Then went.